Hey guys, what's up? It's Beverly here. I have a great episode today. Today, I am interviewing Debra Erickson. She is an executive chef and the founder of The Blind Kitchen. Debra is a blind chef and she has created wonderful tools to help people with vision loss. But to be quite honest, I think they can help people without vision loss because I am all over the speaking thermometer that I have to buy. Debra is freaking amazing. She's very inspiring. And she also, tells about her story and how she did not stay stuck or let being blind rule her life. She thrives and she's an inspiration. Hey guys. Okay, let's get real. Do you sometimes feel like life's just a never ending loop of wake up, drink coffee, go to work, waste countless hours scrolling online, eat, watch TV, maybe read a book, sleep, and then repeat? Have you ever really thought, is this really it? Guess what? You're not the only one. I help people just like you, and me, to get unstuck. I'm bringing on amazing guests who will inspire you, challenge you, and maybe even blow your mind. Let's face it, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. But lucky for you, I know exactly how to help. With a little bit of woo and a whole lot of you, it's time to unstick your stuck and shake that thing up. Let's do this on Beverly Explains It All. Hi, guys. Welcome to Beverly Explains It All. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Debra Erickson. She is the executive chef and founder of The Blind Kitchen. Hi, Debra.
Hi, if you keep saying nice things like that, I'm going to have to come back more often.
That's why I'm going to keep saying them because I'd love for you to come back. All right. Well, on my show, I like to start my guests off with doing a little icebreaker game. Are you down to play?
I'm as ready as I can be.
Perfect. Wonderful. So, number one, is it true that a good sense of smell is very important when it comes to cooking?
It is very important, but I have cooked with a lot of students who no longer have a sense of smell and they have other ways. But yes, it's definitely a nice sense to have, but it's not mandatory.
Interesting. We'll get more into that. Do you think that anyone can learn how to cook confidently, regardless of their vision?
Very much so. It's very possible if you have the right tools and the right knowledge. You can do it very safely and you can do it in your own kitchen.
I love that. Okay, last one. Is it fair to say that overcoming challenges in the kitchen has helped you overcome challenges in other parts of your life?
I think it's exactly the reverse. Challenges that happened before I lost my vision, because I lost it, the final part of it later in life. I was able to lean on things that I had been able to accomplish in the past, and that gave me the confidence that, okay, we can take this on too.
Wow. Well, I would love for you to expand on that and just to tell my listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am blind. I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is a genetic eye disease where you lose everybody's path is different, but in general, most people lose their night vision first and their peripheral vision, and then it closes in and eventually takes your center vision over time. So I had time to adjust to it. I was the only blind student in culinary school, so that meant I had to solve a lot of problems and accomplish them.
Yeah.
And that is kind of how I came to be known as, well, my company is called The Blind Kitchen. And so that's kind of how I channeled all of that research and work I had done into a project that could help other people with vision loss learn to cook confidently and safely.
I absolutely love that. I mean, when we were speaking before, I was telling you just how inspired I was by the idea of the blind kitchen because, I mean, you were already a chef and you were able to just zig when you got to zag. I'd like to start off just by saying, like, obviously going to culinary school as the only blind student is absolutely amazing. What was your experience like, and how did it teach you about overcoming obstacles?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. First of all, I went to McClaskey Culinary Institute in Vancouver, Washington, and the chefs could not have been any more accommodating. They had to hold me to the same standards as the other students, because if you are waiting for your steak and lobster and baked potato, and an hour and a half passes, 2 hours pass, and you flag down your server and say, "Hey, where's my food?" "Oh, well, the chef's blind. She's a little slow." And
Sorry.
people don't want to hear it. There are standards in the restaurant industry, and they need to be met, expectations. So I I wasn't the only person that didn't finish all of my practicals on time, but I was the only one that never finished on time. So I lost some points for that, but they were great. And they just said, and the thing is, it was more important to me and to them that the finished product be seasoned well, look attractive,
Mhm.
have all those met. I only lost a few points for being late, when I would have lost a lot more points if I had skipped on any of the steps in the preparation of the food. So
Right.
they were really good.
I mean, that's just it's incredible. I mean, I like to cook, but also like I know the hardships of cooking. So just imagining doing it blind, like it's just I have all the kudos for you. I'm just really inspired the fact that you kept going. Can you talk a little bit about losing your vision at the age you did later in life and
Um,
how it's in your family?
Yeah, so I am one of 12 children. I'm from Gary, Indiana, and I'm the fourth. And I wore glasses growing up just because I had astigmatism in my left eye. I hated them. I was a tomboy. They sweating and stuff like that. I'd lose them. I'd get in trouble because I kept taking them off and putting them under trees and stuff, and forgot to go back and get them. Put him on the back bumper of the car, and somebody
Yep.
drives off.
I'm laughing because I'm wearing mine. I literally had to look all over my desk because it's a mess right now. I had to look for them, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "I can't find my glasses." So I sympathize.
Exactly. And then my older sister wore glasses for the same reason, and my dad did. So they would round up about half a dozen kids, once a year. Dawn and I were always included because we already knew we had a problem. No big deal. And we'd drive to our country doctor about an hour away, Dr. Corns. You can't make this up. Corns in Indiana. Yes, that was
I
who.
love it, Dr.
And
Corns.
when That's right. And when I was diagnosed at 28, so I was already driving, I already had 2 children. We went back to look through the records to see if there was any signs. And when I was 17, Dr. Corns had noted that I had signs of decreased peripheral vision. I should see a specialist, but somewhere that got lost. I'm not upset about it at all. You got that many kids running around a station wagon, it's going to be a problem. So it looks like I had it in adolescence, which is very common place for it to start. And I have 2 brothers that have it after I was diagnosed, and it's a genetic disease. My parents were recessive gene carriers because there's no history of it at all. So,
Wow.
and if you both are recessive gene carriers, there's a 1 in 4 chance that the mutation will express itself, the disease. And so everybody got tested, and I have 2 brothers with it too, and they're also entrepreneurs, which is kind of cool. The 3 blind
Oh.
mice are the entrepreneurs. Yeah.
I love it. Thriving in more ways than like people with sight are thriving.
It could be argued that. Yes.
I mean, seriously. Wow.
It's been quite the journey, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'd just love to get into because of course I want to talk more about the cooking, but how did you keep such an upbeat attitude? Like I kind of spoke with you about it a little bit before, but I mean like you said a few minutes ago, like you weren't upset about it, the diagnosis, like you handled it and you were able to still live your life and really succeed in life. How do you keep that upbeat attitude?
Yeah, well, I miscommunicated if you don't think there have been dark times
Oh,
with
for
this
sure.
eye
No, no.
disease. Yeah,
No, no.
quitting
I'm yeah.
driving was the worst.
Yeah.
Absolutely the worst, having to quit driving when I felt like I could still see.
Mm,
So that,
mm.
and there have been times when I think, why me? But I think it's just a part of who I am. I it's like I can't not move forward. I just am
Yes.
not. I'm too busy to sit in a dark room and
Mhm,
be depressed about things. It's just not part of my being, and I can't I can't take credit for it,
mhm.
or and it just is the way it is. And I'd have to say my 2 brothers are exactly the same way. They are thriving. We just don't spend our time doing that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's part of the reason why I have the podcast, just to, it is to help people get unstuck in life and to find their passions and to live their best life. But it's also just kind of to remind people that even though there are going to be obstacles, like you said, yeah, there are going to be some rainy days, but overall, we are alive and we can still make the most of our life.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is if your life isn't working for a significant amount of time, you've got to be the one to change it up.
Yes.
Nobody's going to come along with a little wand and tap you on the head and, give you glass slippers and everyth's going to live
Yeah.
happily ever after. I'm still waiting for those glass slippers.
Right?
I wear a size 12.
Okay. Where's our Cinderella moment? Like, what is happening, fairy godmothers?
That's right. They're on strike or something. Who knows?
Okay.
Or they've been fired. Who knows? So I think that, but it takes some reflection, first of all, to realize you're unhappy. That's the key. Sometimes we just get up and get through the day
Yep.
and we never even notice that we're stuck. We know we're not happy, but we're stuck.
Yeah.
So then start to think about what might make me happy again. What has made me happy in the past and it's missing now. How can I get that back into my life? So that's a big part of how I have operated throughout my life when I'm stuck. And sometimes I can stay stuck for a long time before I really take the temperature to say and become self-aware of my stuckness.
Yep. You are not alone. That's why we are here. 100%. I love that we're talking about getting unstuck in life. I just want to know, like, how is your experience navigating in a sighted world as a blind chef, giving you a unique perspective on that, on just being unstuck in general, being a blind chef?
Right. Well, first of all, I get a lot of kudos for even going into a kitchen with knives and hot stoves. That people are like that. Yeah, but
yes,
it's doable,
yes,
and there are thousands of us that do it. I mean, everybody's got something, but mine happens to be, you can see it. If you see me with a long white cane, immediately I've got some type of vision loss to some degree that I'm comfortable admitting at that point in time, which took me a long time to pick up that white cane. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Yeah.
But I know I'm missing things. There are times when I'm in a sighted world and maybe I'll go out to eat with a friend or something. They'll say, "Oh, that looks so good," or whatever. And could you describe it to me? Because I really want to know, and I don't want to be touching my food in a restaurant. That's not very elegant. So, but the other thing that's happening now, which is really interesting, is AI. For the blind community, it is amazing. It describes things in so much detail. There are image descriptions, and there are apps that can tell me exactly what's on my plate. Or if I'm holding an order, I can say, hey, they're Meta smart glasses. They're a new thing out. They're not meant for blind people, but they help us out a lot. And I can hold the paper in my hands and say, hey, Meta, what is the date of this order? And the artificial intelligence goes through its somersaults and stuff, and it can go isolate the part that is the order number or the order date and give that to me. It's pretty amazing. It is. And the glasses I'm wearing, the cameras are in the glasses and the speakers are in the arms that hold them on your face and your ears.
So cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen those?
I've seen some, I think Ray-Bans like that.
Yes, that's it. And it's the Meta and Ray-Ban.
There's
so
other brands. Cool. Yeah. I'm like, it's so wild how far AI has come and just the things that we can use. And as a sighted person, things I don't even think about that might be really beneficial for someone who can't see.
Right. And so that's another thing I'd say. What I do is if I'm not looking for answers to how I can do my job more efficiently or whatever, they're not just going to come at me. So I Google, I can't see the videos, of course, but a lot of podcasts and a lot of videos, YouTube videos are much like podcasts. They're not focusing on visual information. Some are, but a lot of them aren't. And so I can say, hey, Google, find me, it hurt me, or find me a podcast about the Meta glasses for blind people. And there are probably 100 videos of blind podcasters and people interested in it that talk about unboxing them, to how to use them, to what words to use. It's pretty incredible. But that's how I can learn about them then. But if I don't ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's such a fascinating tool, and I love how far just our world has come, thankfully, because I feel like we're not 100% there yet, but we were getting closer and closer, which is really helpful.
It's true. It's true. There's a lot out there that help us, that if you don't have vision loss, how would you even know? There's no way. But there's a lot of help out there, which why I don't think I'm that amazing, because I've got the tools.
You're like, this is easy for me now. I got this.
Exactly. But I get it completely, because if you haven't dealt with it, there's no way you're going to know.
Right. And just people trying to navigate, if they're slowly losing their sight, but we'll touch more on that later. Before I jump into talking about the Blind Kitchen, because I'm very excited to let my listeners know all about it. When we initially spoke, I know we were saying, and it just this dawned on me as we spoke about how far like the world has come just for disabilities in general. But like we spoke about just like, mass transportation, and you were saying how driving was one of the major things that really affected you when you lost your vision. But can you touch on just like, how tough it can be trying to use like, a mass transportation system like a bus as a person without sight, and just things that we sighted people might not think about on a daily basis, or, some of the things we might take for granted?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. At the Oregon Commission for the Blind, I was trained in orientation mobility, which is not only how to get around using a cane, or if you choose, you can get training using a guide dog if you qualify, but also how to navigate traffic lights and oncoming traffic and recognizing different traffic patterns. So when I lost my vision and had to quit driving, there were no Lyft or Ubers, and there were no cell phones. We were just, it was a different world out there. But now
I forget about what it's like without cell phones. Like,
exactly.
They weren't always here.
Nope. And I can actually now, there's two visual interpretation systems, they call them, which is in a nutshell, I can call them. I hold up my phone and they look through my phone camera and can tell me, it goes automatically to speakerphone or my Bluetooth headphones. And they can tell me what they see in real time and tell me to turn my phone a little to the left or a little to the right. And one is called Be My Eyes, and it is completely free. It's run by volunteers. And in fact, they have more volunteers than they have blind people using it. It's a wonderful service.
That's awesome.
And the other one's called Aira, AIRA. And I could not have done this business without them, because unfortunately, a lot of websites are not able to be navigated with the software that a lot of us use. They're called screen readers. So if something shows up on my screen, it's going to read it to me, and I get around by using keystrokes, not the mouse, but tabs, down arrows, and keystrokes, and it reads to me what's on. It tells me if it's a table, it tells me if it's an image. Oftentimes the images aren't described, and this software cannot. Well, it's coming in now. I haven't used it yet, but I understand it can now describe images using AI. But a lot of times it'll say, I'll tab, and it'll be button, button, button. I don't know if it's the pay button. I don't know if it's a go to the next page button. I don't know if it's jump to content button. It wouldn't take that much for people to make websites accessible. But at this point, there's no legislation that demands it. We've come a long way with accessibility in terms of like Braille in any buildings that are, government funded, to an extent.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way legislatively, but there's still a lot to be done in terms of computers. So the Iris service, I pay for it, but they can actually, through TeamViewer, remote into my computer upon my request, and they can run my computer and fill in those fields that I don't know what I'm supposed to be putting in. I just hear tab, blank, blank, blank. So they have been, and they also can do the same thing that Be My Eyes does. So if I'm out and I'm looking for a certain Uber car to pick me up, and I don't want to get in the wrong one. I've heard bad
Mhm.
stories. First of all, I wait for them to say my name, the Uber driver. If they say
Yeah.
my name, they probably got the call. I don't give it to them first. Yeah.
Right.
But the person on the other
Smart.
end say, hey, yeah, here's a blue car. It's slowing down in front of you. Turn your phone. Oh, the license plate is blah, blah, blah. And they can know, then I can know that I have the right thing. So there's a lot out there now, and it's growing exponentially. I can't keep up with it all.
That is so cool. It's like, these are things that I've never heard of. I never even knew existed. And I'm like, it really does help able you to be self-sufficient and, not rely on other people, strangers, whatever. It's like you can do it on your own.
Right. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing, though. People are generally very nice. And once
Good.
they figure out you're blind, and,
Mhm.
and when I wasn't carrying a cane and I was stumbling around or bumping into things, people thought I was clumsy. They didn't have the information they needed. But what people will do if I'm standing on a corner or something is they'll grab me without
Okay.
warning me to
Oh.
help me cross the street. So I'd say, ask some people are very good at it. And some people, I need the help. I want the help. And I didn't know anybody was there. But just verbally get permission before you grab
Yes.
someone or pull them or push them. Intentions are
Yes.
good. Intentions
Yeah.
are always good on those. But it can scare me to death. And sometimes I need the help,
Of
and sometimes I
course.
don't. I just thank them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, obviously you're an adult. You can ask no one wants to really be touched without permission. So,
Right.
I understand, like you said, like people have great intentions, but at the same time, I don't think everyone's thinking like logically, like, oh, obviously this person might need help, but it's like, no, you still ask, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of funny. I was in, where was I? I think I was in Boston, and I was with a friend who worked there. And so she had to work. So I was exploring and I didn't know it. And I was standing on a very busy street corner.
Oh,
And this is before IRA. I did have a cell phone, but it was before any of those services that I was aware of. And so I was just standing there. And finally somebody came up and said, hello, I've gone around the block 3 times and you're still here.
oh my
Can I
gosh.
help you? After I died of embarrassment, I said, please help me, because I was still trying to problem. I'm never going to guess if I'm not pretty confident that I'm not going to get hit, but that was kind of funny.
Okay. I don't blame you one little bit. It just makes me like smile though that people are actually helpful and that the
Yes.
person would come back and be like, you know what, let me actually see if this person might need some help,
And
like
I
not
did.
then that's just excellent. That gives me some faith in humanity.
Yeah.
So I'd love to jump into the blind kitchen because when I saw the title of that, automatically I was like, okay, wait, is the kitchen blind? Like, how is this? Obviously, I'm like, what is I about this? It's a blind friendly. So as we spoke, I just really think it's such a powerful idea. I'd love if you tell the listeners a little bit about it. Let us know what sparked your vision for this business and how'd you know it was something that you had to pursue?
Yeah. So the Blind Kitchen, what it is, it's an online business where we provide adaptive cooking tools that are very blind friendly for people with vision loss to cook. And we also have all kinds of tips and strategies and videos that are audio described. So even if you can't see anything, you know what's going on in those videos. And there's over 90 tools now, and each one of them has its own description. It tells what it is, what it does, why it's blind friendly, and how to use and care for it. That you don't get those on those big mega box things.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of the Blind Kitchen that lent itself to I'm very creative and I'm a problem solver. And so about 90% of the tools in the Blind Kitchen are not meant for blind or visually impaired people. They're mainstream. So we do have talking scales, talking timers, talking thermometers, liquid alerts that make noise to do their job. And that's helpful to get the information through your ears if you're able to and not able to get it through your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also tools that are like, we have something called a boil alert disc, and it's a ceramic disc, and you put in the bottom of a pan of liquid. And when the liquid boils, it rattles around inside the pan. The bubbles are pushing it up around and it clicks. And so that's
cool.
It is cool. And it was made for, like, if you're making pasta or potatoes, And you know how
Mm-hmm.
those starch gets into the bubbles and they
Yep.
climb on each other? This
Mm-hmm.
stops that normal formation of bubbles. So it has the first function primarily was made to stop that bubble formation. It does a darn good job of that too, but the rattle is a side effect of that. So
Oh,
it's just
wow.
so nice. If I want to poach something and I just want a gentle simmer, I just listen for it, adjust the dial till it goes click, 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 click. But if I want to boil the heck out of my potatoes, it goes click, 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 click. So I can tell without being near the pan. I can be across the room doing something else exactly what's happening. And of even greater importance is probably when it stops. It's like, oh,
Yeah, right,
I'm
right.
supposed to be hearing something right now. This is not good.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're so good at describing the adaptive tools. And obviously, I'm going to have all your links and everything to your website and to your YouTube videos. But when you were describing them to me when we first spoke, I was like, okay, I think it was the talking thermometer that I fell in love with most of all, because it's always really hard for me to read my thermometer and I never really understand it. So if it could just speak to me, I'm like, yes, I think I need to actually get one of those. But
You
I
know,
wanted to, oh, go ahead, please.
real quick, the other good thing about that talking thermometer is if
Uh-huh.
you have vision loss, or if you need to get your eyes close to that display, if you're
Yeah.
not using the talking function, now your nose is close to it, your mouth,
Yeah.
your hair, your ears.
Yeah.
It's just so much more elegant, first of all, to be able to stand up
Yeah.
straight and get the information. But it's also safer because if your face is that close to hot food, generally that's
Yes.
not a good plan. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I've burned my chin trying to look at my thermometer. I'm like, why didn't I just buy a new thermometer? But now I've like heard about this. I'm like, no, this is what I need. I need a talking one. But it's like, no, for sure. And I'm like, it's not a good look. Like nobody wants my chin on the chicken. Like it's not cute. But it's like
I'm
you have to
sure it
like
adds a
really
nice seasoning to it.
a little extra, you know. But it's like, yeah, you gotta like twist your head a certain way just to read it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm in love with that, but I want to know what's the one culinary tool you absolutely could not live without and why?
Okay, so the one I use most often in my kitchen, and I don't use all of the tools that I sell, but I use a lot of them. But the main one would be what we call work trays. And they're like standard cafeteria trays that you get in a hospital or a school, made out of heavy duty plastic, virtually indestructible. They have in jails too, by the way. So they're
Oh, wow.
virtually indestructible. Ours are a little bigger than the common ones, but we send a dark one and a light one because when I'm cutting something, or when I'm measuring something, let's say I need a cup of milk. And so I'm on my counter, I've got my measuring cup, I'm covering slowly, but oh shoot, I overflowed it. Now it's running across my
Mm,
counter, down the front of my
mm,
cupboards, onto the floor. It's no
mm,
fun. But if I have a
mm-hmm.
work tray underneath it, then I am going to generally it's going to contain that stuff, the fluid where
Right.
that milk that I just spilled. And
Yep.
oftentimes if I use a funnel, I can, if the tray was clean when I started that, I can funnel it back into and save it, that I don't have to throw it
Ah,
away. So it works out really nice. And the other reason we send a dark one and a light one is because most people are not completely blind. Some have light perception, some are low vision, but they still, it's a struggle. So if I'm pouring a white liquid, it would be smart of me to do it on the dark tray, because
right.
now that contrast, and vice versa, if I'm pouring a cup of coffee, I'm going to use a dark tray, but I'm going to use a white mug, and
Mm,
then I'm going to have the coffee. So now that white mug is going to stand out to me. And so
yeah.
another tip from the blind kitchen is if I'm having problems and you don't want to put your finger over the edge of the cup of hot liquid to find out if it's full, and you don't want to
Right.
overflow it to find out if it's full, you can use a wide mouth funnel and put that
Mm.
on top of the cup. And now instead of having about a 3-inch target, you got a 5-inch target, which makes a
Oh, wow.
huge difference.
Yeah.
And then we have another thing called a liquid alert that is like it's a 9-volt battery in the back of it, and it's got two little wires, or ours have three little wires that hang over the edge. And so those little wires are going to hang on your cup, and the battery is going to be on the outside. And when the liquid reaches where those little wires are, the two outside ones are longer than the middle one. When it
Mm.
reaches the two outside ones, it completes a circuit and it beeps. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh,
And
wow.
then if you keep pouring, you can stop then if you want. That's about an inch from the top. But if you want to keep pouring, about a half inch up, there's a third wire. And when that one goes off, it screeches. It's just
Oh,
like, you
wow.
got to stop. You're going to
Yeah.
overflow.
Yeah.
And so it works with cold liquid. It works with hot liquids. But people, I think, especially like it when they're pouring coffee or tea, because that gives them the information they need to stop pouring.
I mean, this is genius. Did you come up with these things? Were you like, this is what I need, so let's create this? Like, how did this come about, you know?
Yeah, good question. So in terms of that system, there's a video on our website talking about it. It was all the different things. It was about contrast. Have dark mugs and light mugs. Have dark tray, have a light work tray. The wide mouth funnel, I use that for the other place we use that is if you're doing whipping cream, it's hard to first of all, you have 4 pieces of pumpkin pie there on Thanksgiving. You don't want your guests seeing you touch their piece of pie and
Right.
but how are you going to get that whipped cream on top of it? Well,
Mhm.
you can use the wide mouth funnel to get centered on one piece of pie. You can tell if it's hanging off the edge. You just
Oh,
have to push down a little bit. And then you use a portion scoop. I usually use 1 ounce and I scoop that into the ice cream or the whipped cream. And now I can deposit it into the funnel. The hole of the funnel matches the portion scoop so that I can then lift the funnel straight up, do the next one, do the next one, do the next one. And all my guests have equal portions that are attractive and in the right place. And I didn't have to see to do it.
and it sounds so uniform and it comes out so pretty. I mean, I'm like, I
Yeah.
like this idea better than me because I just get like a dollop and just throw it on with a spoon and it's all everywhere and, everywhere. And I'm like, I'm just thinking about you, how you said, like, most guests don't want you like putting your fingers and hands in their food. I'm like, well, I just like good food, so I'll probably eat it anyway. But no, like exactly what you're saying. Like, I love the fact that it's like really with these tools, you're kind of more of a gourmet chef than the average cook
It
because
is
your
true.
things or your presentation is just going to come out nicer because that's the way it's made to do.
Oh, it is so true. I mean, people wonder, that's one of the fears of cooking. What if I hand you a plate of food and you can tell it's ugly and I can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be embarrassing if I can't be confident when I hand you that plate.
Right.
So they have all different sizes of these portion scoops. And so for like rice, mashed potatoes, you have guests, I get a 6-ounce one and pack it in there. The starch is going to hold it in a mound and then I deposit it on the plate, maybe in the center, maybe on the side,
Yeah.
sprinkle some chopped herbs on it, some nuts, maybe a little lemon or orange zest. And every plate is going to be consistent and attractive. I mean, that's pretty amount of
And
rice I've
delicious.
had. There's that.
Oh, yes. That sounds fantastic. I love like when the rice is like in a little, like kind of a little shape, like, that makes me feel like I've done something if I can make the rice like packed to actually stay on the plate. So I
Yeah.
love the idea
Yeah.
of that.
It just makes it more uniform and attractive. How long would it take you to do a scoop of ice cream? It's the exact same thing.
That's just so cool to think about. This is an important one. You've said that organization is key, especially in the kitchen. So how do you recommend a blind person organizes their kitchen and pantry to make cooking not only easier but safer?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. You got to get the buy-in from the people you live with. If they can see, you've got to put things back. And if people don't buy into that, if it's gone, it's just not there for me.
Yeah.
But then I can get Be My Eyes or Ira to look around my kitchen. But now it's taking more time.
Right.
I'm already slow. I don't want to be
Yeah.
problem solving in the middle of cooking. So first of all, there's a lot of tools out there. There's something called a pen friend, which is, I think it's about $300, but you really only have to buy it one time. It's low tech and it comes with a bunch of stickers, and each sticker has its own unique identifying number. You can't see that, you don't need to, but that's how I do my spices. I put a sticker on my spice bottle.
Oh.
However, I know this is my nutmeg.
Ah.
I can talk to the pen and touch that sticker and it'll record. Now, every time I go back and touch that sticker with that pen friend, it is going to say nutmeg in my own voice.
Oh,
So I just
wow.
have to use that across the tops of the bottles. They're all consistently in there. So some people are very anal and they'll put everything back in alphabetical order or whatever. I
Mhm.
organize mine more like by desserts or by ethnicity or by the ones I use the most. And I actually have a drawer. All the spices have the letters begin with the letter C. I didn't know it until I was organizing. My like, how many spices begin with C? Way more than any other letter of the alphabet.
Right.
Kind of crazy. So that's one tool. I use Lazy Susans, which are
Oh,
those
yeah.
little round rotating, and I use the small ones. They're 10-inch, and we have those on the website too. But what it does is when I'm reaching into, first of all, to get a can of a good, it's always going to be back of the cupboard. Even if it's the last thing I put in, it is going to jump magically to the back when I'm not looking. So if I have these on a Lazy Susan, not only if I'm using Braille or bump dots, some other type of tactile thing before I put it away to mark it. So I solve my problems before I put them away. That's the bottom line. So then it's
So
done
smart.
when I need it. Yep. And so instead of reaching over to get the can that's in the back, I just have to rotate it around and it comes to the front. And the smaller ones are more helpful because then you're not layering them. You don't have three layers deep of can. They're just all around the edges of them. So those are good. I use bins for like items. In my refrigerator, we have a bin for the nuts and dried fruits, a bin for the cheeses, a bin for my husband's drinks that he likes in the cans because he puts them back with the open. I always knock them over. But now he puts them in a bin. And so I know a refrigerator organizer. So I know exactly, I'm not going to push real hard when I get close to that one. So those are some of the techniques.
I need that. Like, I can tell, like, I mean, obviously it probably needs to be, but your kitchen already sounds way more organized than mine. Like, I think not only vision impaired people, but just people who have vision could just, thrive in this kind of environment, period.
Yeah. It's interesting. My favorite cooking show is called The Kitchen. And it's on Food Network, and they have 4 chefs. And the one, he's the Iron Chef. They defer to him all the time. And he said, and the light bulb went right on in my head. He said, most people get frustrated when they're cooking. And this show has nothing to do with vision loss, but I learn a lot from them. And he said, and it's the first thing I learned in culinary school was mise en place, everything in its place. And he said, most people, and this applies especially to people with vision loss, because if I'm trying to find that ingredient that I can't find because I didn't organize it, and my pan is going on the stove and I need to attend to it, it's just going to be a panic. It's not going to be a pleasant experience. So get all of your stuff in place before you turn on the stove or the oven. Make sure that you have everything. And then it's a very pleasant experience, and it's quicker for you. It's more advanced work up front, but now I know I have my nutmeg there. I'm not going to have to look for it. I know I have my 2 eggs. I know I have my parsley. I'm not going to have to. So I thought that I learned mise en place, but I never had put it into that frame of work that don't start cooking until you're ready to start cooking. And that's only when you have everything within reason available to you, so you can just stand at the stove and get it done more quickly and without chopping it up into different activities.
And it's like, what a way to feel empowered, just knowing that, that everything is set up the way it needs to be. So you know what you're doing.
Right. And it's going to be handy. So the other place I do, so I have the work tray in front of me. I use that for cutting boards. I use it for anything, mixing, measuring. There's always a cutting board or a work tray in front of me. But then when I'm doing that, I will have a work tray. Now I use it. I get all my stuff done. I can put all of that prepared food, pre-measured, pre-ready to go. And that's how they do it on the cooking shows. Those cooks aren't doing it. It's getting done for them.
Right.
So yeah, I don't have one of those sous chefs, not yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Either.
but exactly. But when I go to cook, then I know I've got where it's going to be too. It's going to be in a predictable location because I was very careful about where I put it. Because when you can't see, you have to be more thoughtful. I used to be able to just put a dish towel down and come back and get it. But now, just like those cans in the cabinet, the back of the cabinet, the Irish fairies throw my towels on the floor, no matter how carefully I set them there. So I have a towel clip.
Where did it go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and I find it usually when I step on it while I'm looking for it.
Right. And then it's dirty.
And then kitchen laundry basket. Have a small basket. You can get them at the dollar store for kitchen laundry stuff. So you don't have to run to the laundry room when you're doing this. Yeah. And I have a towel that's clipped. We sell towel clips, but you can use a safety pin if you want to. Clip it to your apron or your clothing, and then it'll travel with you. It doesn't get any more handy than that. And you can change it
Right.
out if it gets dirty or wet. You can just change it out. Our towel clips, you just it's like an alligator clip. So you unclip it
Okay.
and you can take it right out and put it in. But you could achieve the same thing with a safety pin, but you'd have to, it'd take longer to change it out, but it would still work.
I love the idea of that because I am notorious for putting a towel down and never being able to find it. I'm like, where usually like, my husband picks it up and puts it somewhere, and I'm like, I'll end up using a bunch of paper towels, and I'm like, oh my God, like I had it. Where is it? Really
Exactly.
frustrating. So I'm like, I'm just gonna peruse like all of these items, and I'm probably gonna rack up like my husband's gonna be like, aren't these meant for people who can't see? And I'm like, they're meant for everyone. Thank you very
That's
much.
exactly right. If it's a struggle for you, use them. Life is too short when you know there's an answer and you choose not to use it.
Exactly. That's empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question that I think is a really good question that it's been on my mind. We kind of talked about it before. How can we encourage others who might be at the beginning stages of vision loss to not be afraid in the kitchen? And also, how can others support them? Like, how can we support them? I kind of mentioned I have a family member who is losing their vision, but I don't know if they're too proud to say so or kind of just like, just kind of get by. But how can we encourage them not to be afraid in the kitchen? And what can I do, or what can my family do just to let them know that we support them?
Yeah, so it's a different journey for every person. And retinitis pigmentosa, that's my eye disease, and we call it RP. The people in the blind community call it that because that's a lot of syllables, but it really stands for resistant people, because nobody wants to be different. We all want to fit in, and you have lost vision and you're missing signals from the world. I can't tell if you're yawning right now, if I'm boring you. I mean, I can hear your voice, but you know what I'm saying? We miss a lot of social cues.
Right.
And, the way I think of it is in terms of the kitchen, the way I put it together in my brain is it's basically based on 4 fears. One is fear of making your friends or family sick because you undercook the food. Because a lot of recipes say, oh, cook it until the juices run clear, or cook it until it's no longer pink in the center. And it's like, that's not helpful to me.
Yeah, thanks.
But the talking thermometer, yeah. And I used to, there's a tendency to way overcook food to avoid that. So now you're not giving them the delicious thing you used to be able to make because you could see it. But the talking thermometer is a tool that over time, with practice, it's a skill set. You'll learn exactly when to take that off or when to flip it by using that tool and sound and smell. I mean, you can smell when you put toast bread in the toaster. When you first take that piece of bread, it's soft, it smells kind of yeasty, it's moist. You put it in the toaster, everything changes through caramelization and the Maillard effect. It's chemistry. Now it's drying the bread out. It's toasting the sugars. They're starting to and the amino acids, it's starting to do their work. It smells different. It tastes different. It feels different. Same thing with any food when you apply heat to it. They all behave a little bit differently, but the toaster analogy, all of us have made toast, and we can see in about a minute and a half or 2 minutes the transformation of applying heat to it. So the other one is fear of cutting yourself, and there are tools out there to help you. There's also pre-cut food that you can get. You can get onions that are already chopped in the freezer section.
Right.
They're a little different, but you can get them. It'll do the trick. If you're doing a saute of some kind, it's going to come out the same. It might not go in the pan exactly the same way, but you're going to get the same effect. And so there's a thing called a cut glove, which you can't cut through it. I have held my palm upward in presentations. And we have a video that shows it running the knife back and forth across the palm of my hand that's wearing the glove. And I can feel the movement and I can feel the pressure, but my skin doesn't get cut because that glove protects me.
I need that so badly.
You know where you really need it? For shredding foods. Grating cheeses. I don't know of any cook that hasn't cut their skin because they're good tools, but they're weird. They're angled and they have lots of blades and different blades on each side. Knuckle skin. That's exactly it. It's hurts. Not in any recipe I know of. It does hurt.
Yeah, no one wants knuckle skin in the salad for some reason.
If there's a tool out there, of culinary school I had to learn. Yeah, so I don't wear a cutting glove when I'm cutting carrots and celery and onions and stuff like that because I'm very confident, but I had to spend hours and hours and hours. And most people don't have that kind of pressure to
Yeah.
perform that you get in culinary school. But I will not grate foods or zest them without having a cut glove on that hand holding the food.
It's so smart. So, like, you think just, people who are starting to lose their vision, if we introduce some tools like this, it can give them the confidence. And I know everyone's different, but do you think a lot of people might be more open knowing they have these tools?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And when you feel that you are different than other people, you feel lonely. You feel alone. So if that family member of yours is the only person that has this level of vision loss,
Yeah.
they're probably feeling pretty isolated, like they can't see the TV, they
Mm-hmm.
can't play cards, they can't,
Yeah.
participate. There are ways to get them back. One is I'd have them connect up with some type of a low vision support group because they're not the only ones that are frustrated. But if you never talk to anybody else with vision loss, and let's face it, most of us don't know a blind person. We're a
Mm-hmm.
pretty small percentage of the population, although with people aging, it's becoming much more prevalent. And
Right.
the people that are aging are generally retired. By the time the vision loss takes over, where it's really affecting their daily activities, they're not going to go to a training center. It's their turn to rest. They just want
Right.
to play with the grandkids or,
Exactly.
or garden or cook. And now they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to do it. So there are a lot of us out there who have figured it out. And I love the idea of you getting tools for them and,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just the cut glove, the talking thermometer, you know, and also watching videos that deal with vision loss. Most of us hate it and we're afraid of it. And so the last place we want to go is to a support group. The last
Yeah.
place, it's kind of like giving in.
Right.
But if you start to watch videos and stuff like that, and or go to a support group or go to a training center, you're going to be surrounded by people who know what vision loss is like and people
Yeah.
who can help people with vision loss. It is. You do have to surrender to it. There's no doubt, and that I'm not minimizing how huge that is. But once you're if you're unhappy enough and you get to the point where I've got to make a change, I just can't go through the rest of my life being this unhappy,
Yeah.
then you might have to surrender to that. But then you'll come out on the other side, and
Mm-hmm.
the idea is I want to cook again. I, you'll be cooking again.
Exactly. And I love just the thought. I never really thought about introducing maybe like a support group or even videos of it because I think a lot of it, I don't know if it's the denial of it all or trying to accept it. Like you said, it is better to accept because then you can actually, move on and figure out the next step. But
Hmm.
I think that comes with, I don't know, like an empowerment aspect of it and just like the mindset. And I wanted to ask you, like, how do you think the skills and the mindset that you teach translate to other areas of life where people feel stuck?
Well, anytime there are times in our life where we have to face a fear, and the older we get, the less it is because now we have so many experiences. So fear of riding a bicycle, fear of driving a car, fear of having children, all different fears. But when you're standing in the kitchen in front of a hot oven, if you're not feeling fear,
Mhm.
that's not a good sign. You're probably
Right?
not going to last long because
Yeah.
you are in a dangerous situation. If you have
Seeing
a
or not
sharp
seeing.
blade, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You've got to master it. So, I think from a blind perspective, I have two thoughts on that. One is if I'm trying to do something new, like use a new piece of software or something, or a new device that's meant for the blind or not meant for the blind, I can say, I stood in front of that hot stove and I mastered it. So I can overcome that fear. I'm not going to get burnt here.
Right.
This is just a
Yeah.
device. I may have to get a bump dot. I may have to somehow tactily mark this so I can
Hmm.
use it. But you can just say I've overcome obstacles before and I can do it again. But
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. But the other thing is I find, and this is true of any difficulty in people's lives, is people often just stay silent about the problem. They don't know what to
Yeah.
say. They don't want to
Yes.
hurt your feelings. They don't know if it's okay to ask. Although I was in a restaurant with a friend and I had my cane because I used to hide my cane like and go in on their arm because now I didn't need my cane. But then it
Uh,
confused the wait staff because they didn't know I was blind then. And then
okay.
then it gets it gets lowered. So now I have
Yeah.
a and she bent down. She said, "Can I ask what happened?" I was like,
Oh,
"Are you
wow.
kidding me?"
Very
She meant
forward
well.
there.
She was
Lord have
young.
mercy.
I know.
Get
Where's
out of
your
here.
social skills? Yeah.
That is
But
wild.
that most people don't
Jeez.
do that. Most people will
No.
just pretend I can, they'll just pretend. They just we're going to ignore it. We're going to pretend we don't see it. So nobody's awkward. I'm not awkward. She's not awkward. Whatever. So having a conversation with your loved one, say, hey, you know, I know this is hard. I know this is
Mhm.
hard, and I'm here to support you in any way. And I listened to this podcast, and there was, why don't you listen to it and see if it makes any sense to you? Because I'm
Yeah.
not the only person speaking like this.
Of course
There
not.
are a lot of
Mm-mm.
them out there. A lot of blind podcasters. Because if you
Yeah.
think about it, podcasting is non-visual. It's kind of like radio.
Yeah.
you you have to
I'm
learn how to run the equipment. I don't have any idea how you do what you do. I mean, that's magic what you're doing behind the scenes there, but I
but
don't
it's
have
kind
to
of
know.
like television, right? In a way, it's like the stimulation and just all the
Oh,
information you can get.
absolutely. The
Hmm.
information exchange still goes, and you don't have to be able to see to enjoy the podcast. In fact, they originally were not meant to be seen.
Right. Oh, I prefer it when people actually listen. I'm like, you don't even know right now. I have no glasses on. I'm wearing a brown t-shirt. I have brown skin. My glasses are like a light purple. So everything is very one color right here. So I am not popping, but I'm like, hopefully people are just listening to my voice.
Yeah, yeah. And I generally choose, sometimes I have to put my camera on. My videographer makes me, but when I'm filming at the studio, I have a person come in that does my costume, hair, and makeup, a professional.
Yeah.
So I look good in those videos. But if you see me right now, I don't have a bit of makeup on. I don't know how the lighting works, and it's like it's always good. Edgar, my videographer, Debra, your hair is green. It's like I don't know how to fix that, Edgar.
Don't feel bad. You're not alone there. Oh,
So I
man.
prefer not to, especially if people are just going to listen. Why do I have to spend all that time
Exactly.
and effort? Yeah.
And really, we're just trying to get the information out there. It's not a beauty contest, people. Speaking of
And it
something
wouldn't
that's
we, Beverly?
really, say that again.
We'd win that beauty contest, wouldn't we?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we're gorgeous. So hello. Luckily, hopefully people are listening and they don't even know what's going on here. But, can you describe one of your YouTube videos really quickly?
Yeah.
Or
So
not really quickly. Take your time.
and that's a good question. So audio description, you can go to the movies and go to the teller and say, I'm blind. I need the audio description. And they program it, and I can then, and this is how it works on videos too, if they're done right, but they do a beautiful job in the movies, is when I can't see what's happening on screen, and they never talk over the dialogue, but whenever any of the characters aren't talking, they're telling me what's important that's on there in my ear. So I'm listening to it privately. It's not bothering anybody around me. But I often, in those like whodunits or whatever, they're telling me the important information. So if I
Mm-hmm.
could see it, I might not see that she picked up the book that has the knife in it or whatever that
Right.
killed somebody. But I'll be with my friend. She'll be like, how did they find the knife? I'm like, well, the woman picked it up and she didn't notice it.
So matter of fact.
Exactly. So I often get the information because the movie people know what's important to look at. She
Mhm.
wasn't looking at the right place. So, but they just describe the scenery, the food, how people look. It depends on if it's a real action movie. They can't talk fast enough to get it all in. They do the very best they can. But if it's like a romance or something like that, or a slower moving movie, then you
Mhm.
get a lot of information. I feel like I've seen the movie when I've
Yeah.
done, because my brain, I used to be able to see, my brain conjures up images of the words I'm spoken. So on our website, if we're talking about like how to center a pan on the stove, I am describing, I'm in the kitchen, I'm in front of the stove, there's a pan in front of me, I don't have the stove on yet. this is how I'm doing it. So I talk through, as you've said, that's one skill I have definitely developed, is to verbally describe things in real time.
Yeah.
But if I'm concentrating and I can't describe it, then we have a professional voice. He's got a beautiful voice, come over it, and he tells people, Deborah's standing in front of the stove. She's wearing a purple chef coat with a white apron. She's holding a wooden spoon in her hand. Just whatever. We don't have, blind people don't like silent movies. They're just not. So
that wouldn't really be helpful.
Doesn't settle well, no. But so everybody, regardless of your level of vision, if the TV show, and a lot of TV shows are audio described now.
Yeah.
Really well done. There's one on Netflix called Adolescence.
Oh, I'm gonna start that tonight, actually.
Oh my gosh,
That's so funny.
So well. If you want to do yourself, you can watch it any way you want. But if you turn on audio description in Netflix, they have it in Hulu, they have it in Prime Video. For almost all the new stuff coming out is audio described. And my son is an adult, and I went to visit him, and he said, let's watch a movie. And I said, well, you'll have to turn on the audio description and make sure it's audio described. Right. And he told me later, he said, Mom, I thought I was going to hate it. I thought it was going to drive me crazy. He said, but I love it.
I think I will try that, because a lot of times, like, you're not the only one who misses like little things. I'm like, wait a minute, like, did they take the knife? Like, what happened? You blink, you look down. Like, I'm gonna challenge myself to actually give that a try, because it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, just put it in settings and turn it on.
I'll do that.
They'll even describe the intro, the lighting, the background, everything, including the cast of characters and all that. They describe everything.
I mean, that's why I was also so impressed with your YouTube videos, because I was like, I can close my eyes and know exactly what's going on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. 100%.
It's very clear. It's very, very helpful. And I mean, I'm urging people just to go check out. We'll have all the links in the show notes. It's just really interesting. And I think you did a really good job with it.
Oh, thank you. And my videographer 100%. Did a great job with that intro, with the cupcakes jumping into the muffin pans to form the Braille letters TBK. He did all of that. And he won an award for it, actually, from the American Council of the Blind.
Shout out to, is it Edgar?
Edgar. We love Edgar.
Shout out to Edgar. One last question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's feeling overwhelmed by a seemingly impossible challenge, what would it be, drawing from your own journey?
Well, I would answer it with a question. What's the best way to eat an elephant?
What's that?
One bite at a time. So it feels overwhelming. Poor elephants. I'm probably going to get sued by PETA. But I've never cooked an elephant. Yeah, no, I don't. I've never heard of that as a delicacy. I am not interested. But it means it's a big thing. And how can you possibly do it? So I would say start somewhere, break it into smaller pieces, and then do one piece. And that's the way, when I get up in the morning and I've got 9 things I've got to do and I don't know which one to do or whatever, I just usually say, okay, pick one, just do it. And then things start to flow. Once you're in motion, you tend to stay in motion. But sometimes it's hard to get into motion when you're feeling so overwhelmed.
I think that's sage advice for someone who's seeing, someone who cannot see, someone who's hearing, can't hear. Like that's just fantastic advice. One thing at a time, one bite at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'd love it if you could tell people where they can connect with you. Tell us about your website, your YouTube videos, coaching, anything that you offer, please.
Sure. So you'll find all of the information I've talked about, the tools and the videos and the blog posts at theblindkitchen.com. Do not go to blindkitchen.com, because that's a television show in Boston where they blindfold people that can see perfectly well and then give them challenges. Don't get me started.
That ain't it.
Pros and cons, but that's not me. That's right. That's not me. So it's theblindkitchen.com, and you can write to me at info@theblindkitchen.com. I do keynote speeches and things like that, and presentations and workshops. So that's another part of the growth of the Blind Kitchen. That wasn't where I
Very
started,
cool.
but it's like that seemed to be where people wanted to go, and I love it.
Yeah.
So why not?
People want to see you in action.
Oh my goodness, it's kind of fun. So
That's really
yeah,
cool.
so that's where you would go. And write to me at info@theblindkitchen.com, and I monitor that mailbox and answer all the emails. Or you can go to our YouTube channel, which is theblindkitchen.com, The Blind Kitchen, and it's kind of fun.
It's super cool. I love the YouTube channel. I've subscribed. I urge everyone to go check it out because it's really, really something. It's really cool. I'm totally impressed by you. I'm inspired by you. I'd love it if you have a mantra, a quote, or words you live by that you'd like to impart on us.
Well, now Nike's going to sue me, but here we go. Just do it.
Yes.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It might hurt, but do it. You'll learn from it.
Don't wait on people. Don't wait on people. You knew you were a chef. You knew you were going to continue down this road. You didn't wait on anyone. You made it happen, and now you're thriving.
Yeah, it feels like it was the right move. It feels like it's in alignment with who I am, and the fact that it helps other people just sweetens it up even more.
I love that. Debra, you are absolutely phenomenal. Wonderful, wonderful guest. Thank you so much for your time and just letting us all know about the Blind Kitchen.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All right, guys, this has been Beverly Explains It All. Make sure you check out Debra and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye.